We're live.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Specialized Learning Curriculum Subcommittee meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, and the time is 5:33 p.m. I am Committee Chair Ashley Golias. I'm joined by fellow committee members Marcus Jaime and Jasmine Prezi, as well as Assistant Superintendent of Schools Rob Pennington and members of his team. The first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our October 21st, 2025 committee meeting. Um, I know Marcus was not on the board yet for that. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
And I'll second that motion. So minutes are approved. And I'm going to transfer the meeting over to Rob and his team to tell us about the playground communication boards. And oh, just a quick note, we're also joined by committee member Nellie Cole. So take it away, Rob and team. And thank you all for being here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Good evening, board members. Tonight for Specialized Learning, one new initiative that we have put in place this year has been the work around communication boards on the playground. With me tonight, I have Deirdre McKinnon at admin for pre-K through 5 specialized learning, and Veronica Lenzen at admin for 6 through age 21. And then we also have Angela Rinaldi, who is our assistive technology expert for the district. And she is going to share a presentation and talk through some of the vision around the communication boards, the why, the what, the where, and what's next, and like really the vision around this work. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Ange, and thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to be here. We've been putting this initiative together well, we've wanted it for a while. And I think I saw Mr. Pennington in the hallway and he said, "Hey, how about those communication boards?" I'm like, "We're going to do them. We're going to do them. Great. All right, we're on." So he said, "I need 10 of them." I said, "What?" Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share do Chrome tab and we'll start. Okay, everyone sees this okay? All right, I gotta move you over a little bit okay, so we are talking about communication boards for the playgrounds. We started this thought many years ago, and then we finally put it into place, and I have to say they're just beautiful. They're extraordinary. So again, my name's Angela Rinaldi. I've been assistive technology specialist for a very long time, and also special education teacher. So I was able to put into place a lot of the knowledge of working with AAC devices, and also being in the classroom, and what would be the best way to give access to everyone in all areas of our environment, our school and our playground. So here we go. All right, so the NPS communication boards promote inclusive play by providing students with communication delays immediate access to language in both English and Spanish, with built-in QR codes that extend the boards to personal devices and provide usage guidance. The programs remove barriers to communication anytime, anywhere. So these communication boards have one side of English, one side of Spanish. We design these boards so that they coincide with the actual programs that we use in the district. So you can buy them, you can purchase them anywhere, but we chose to utilize symbol sticks, which is the universal symbols that you see everywhere. And we happen to have a license with symbol sticks, so we were able to do that. And we designed our own. So it kind of matches up with what we're doing in the district and what the type of programs the students are using. And here they are. So this one is one at Merrimack, and this is at Cranberry. And on the other side, well, you'll see in the next pictures, is the Spanish version. And over here is Rowayton. Okay. And if you look at them, they're all color coded, and we'll get into that later on. And you see your QR codes up here. and we'll have a little fun with that later. Okay, and then we have Kendall and Marvin, Wolf Pit. Oh, I guess that's the last one for now. But we have 10 boards. They're all placed, except one. We're waiting for a playground to be finished, correct? And they're all in strategic spots. As a matter of fact, I remember them going in the first time that I was following the Parks and Recs when they were putting them in, and I was watching to make sure they were strategically placed. And I think they ended up having to take one out. And I called Mr. Pennington. I said, "Oh my God, it's going in the wrong spot." So they literally had to take them. These are about 4 feet down into the ground. So they took it out, and he said, "No, it has to be strategically placed so that we can see both sides." And they did a wonderful job. So why? Let's look at the why. Why are playground communication boards important? They're high language, high emotion spaces. Many AAC users lose access to communication outdoors. Communication boards provide safe, consistent access to language. Now, I will tell you first and foremost, because I'm actually sitting in as a teacher at Cranberry in the LEAP program. And when I first started there, and the communication boards were just going in, I noticed that, and I bring everywhere my students go, I make sure they have their device everywhere, lunchroom, restroom, everywhere. And I started having them bring them out to the playground, and it was dangerous. It was really dangerous. They had those straps and things like that. So this is a great way to keep the language out there, the ability to have access to language and be safe at the same time. So and you'll see that as we go along. Now, this is a copy of the Spanish version, and we had many people look this over to make sure everything was correct. And what we did was, and I'll go back and forth really quick. Here's the English version, and then so back and forth. They're exactly the same. So if we had to go back and forth, it completely mirrors the other side. And we use language, the most important words, core and fringe. Core are the words that we use, like I, open, you, he. Those are core, whereas fringe might be horse, park, bench. So we use the most important words and the most used words and language that students would utilize on a playground, and incorporated them into this board. So we designed our own, which I was so proud of, because again, we could have purchased them from anywhere, but we chose to construct our own from the ground up, and to match what the students and what most students are utilizing with their communication devices. So that was kind of cool. If you notice, I got to move. On the left is a QR code. We'll get into that in a minute. And on the right is a QR code. And on both of the, whether it's Spanish or English, it's the same. And we'll show you how it works. So a lot of these are set up the same way the boards are set up on an AAC device, where the I is over here and certain icons. Okay. So why are they not used? And we talked about that. Risk of damage from weather. I'm going to move again. Sand and impact. Fragile and expensive devices. So you don't want to bring those out there and have kids drop them or things like that. Safety concerns during running, climbing, and active play. These guys are going up and down on playscapes and things like that. And the playground boards ensure communication access without safety risks. So that's really super important. I got to see that firsthand. So I bring my students out to the playground that has the board, and I feel really good that is there, and that we don't have to bring those devices out. Okay, here we go. So again, one side is English, one side is Spanish, supports multilingual learners and families. It encourages inclusive peer-to-peer communication, and it reflects district commitment to equity and access. Okay. Okay, now the color-coded icons. This is the purpose of the design. So the colors on the, and you'll see that as we move along, the colors align with the AAC systems. Colors match existing AAC devices students already use. So it's the same colors. So they might not, even if a student has difficulty reading the word, they can access it through color and symbol, or vice versa. Okay, supports motor planning. So those different icons and symbols are strategically placed on the boards as the student uses it on their device. Okay, so it's the same motor planning, meaning how are they manipulating through the device, which is very important. Quick word location helps AAC users find specific words faster, and it reduces the cognitive load. So it's very important that we place things strategically so that they're not because a student might be wanting to tell us something and their anxiety level might be up, but it reduces that so that because they already know where that icon is. So it was very strategic, and I will tell you, and every time we had to make a change, even if it was a dot on the page, we went through. It was probably a day, so it was pretty interesting, but it was a lot of fun. I will say that. Okay, the embedded QR codes. Now, and I'm going to let you guys play with this. So it has instant digital access. So if you have a smartphone, if you have whether it's an Android or if it's a iPhone, it works with that instant digital access. You can view the communication board on your phone or tablet, extending support beyond the playground. So if say an RBT or a paraprofessional or a teacher or a service provider is out there and they want to communicate with their student, they can go over to the device, pull up that QR code, and it goes right on their phone. And then guidance for modeling and use empowers peers and adults with clear instructions to support communication naturally and consistently. So we're going to check that. Okay, here they are. Ready? Okay. So you have to be really good about this. When you're pointing your camera to it, make sure it's flush with the screen. So you got one. So this one over here, if I'm right, this is the English version. This one over here is the Spanish version. Down here, these are directions on how to use it in English, and these are directions on how to use it in Spanish. So these pull that document up, and everything you need is right there. So you guys can test it out for a minute, see how you do. I hope it works. Good.
Yep, I was able to pull it up. I'm trying to make it so it gets bigger on my phone.
So it is a PDF document. So, regardless of any kind of connection, it's just a QR code to a PDF document. Now, one of the things that we were thinking about doing was having a QR code to a video. Unfortunately, the problem with videos is that the link might break to the video. So we decided to move to the actual directions. It worked. Everything worked. Good. Okay. I tested them out on the cranberry one today. We were playing around with it. So it's just a good thing. It's great because now you don't have to have copies of the playground icons, although that's a good idea too. But this is a really good way to have access. And then you can bring it to the student instead of bringing the student to the board if you cannot do that. Okay. Leave it up there for a minute and you can let me know when to move on.
I'm sorry, the QR code, what exactly are we supposed to do with it? Because I
So
see it.
if you take your phone, you might not be able to do it because you have to be really, because you're on your phone. So,
Yeah.
but the QR code, so you take your phone, open up the camera, and then you just hold it to the QR code, which is on the side of each of the upper top of each of the communication boards, and it just brings you right. I'll show you.
It brings up, I can show you kind of what it looks like on my phone. It brought up the full exact a duplicate of what's on the playground board on the phone.
So if you turn
Nice.
it, you'll get the full communication board.
So I won't be able to do it now because I'm actually on my phone, right?
Yeah.
On your, yeah. So, but still, so this is a great way to bring the board to a student if they can't get to the, and also to have communication throughout the time they're out there. Okay. We'll go to the next one. Okay. Alignment to NPS strategic goals. Equity and inclusion offers bilingual, accessible communication supports for all students. Student well-being lessens frustration and boosts confidence during social times. Whole child development enhances communication, social interaction, and self-advocacy throughout play. Family and community partnerships involves families with multilingual, easy to access communication tools outside of school hours. So I have actually seen all students utilize the boards. I was able, since I am out of school, and it's really been like today, a student told me that they needed a break. I said, but we are on a break. But they said, I need a break. So we brought them over, sat them on the bench. They took a little break. And if that board wasn't there, they wouldn't have been able to do that. So it was really, it was nice to see. Okay. So who can...
I mean, sometimes when you're on especially for anyone who is neurodivergent, sometimes when you're on a break, it depends on like what is overstimulating. Speaking for reference, I am actually autistic ADHD. So like it's one of those things. Yes, we're on the break, but what level of stimulation are we talking about? What do we need to take a step back?
Right. So we knew, and they needed a break from that, all of that movement, and it was perfect. It was perfect, and she did that independently today, so it was really nice to see. And thank you for saying that. Who can use the boards? Students who use AAC devices, augmentative and alternative communication for robust expression. Emerging communicators, so beginning to use symbols and gestures to connect. Multilingual learners, bridging language gaps with visual supports. And students with speech, language, or social communication needs, supporting clarity and social interaction. So it's really nice to see all students communicating together, and even again, just emerging communicators or students learning new language. So it's been really nice to see it in place. How verbal students use the boards. This is for verbal students. Model language, demonstrate board use for peers, showing how to express needs and ideas. Inclusive play and turn taking, facilitate shared activities and turn taking by using the boards during games. Normalize, and this is good when you can pull it up on a tablet too, or your phone, so that you can have that communication, that inclusive play. Normalize communication, show that there are many valid ways to communicate, fostering acceptance. So everyone can use the boards, and it's all new language or language that's used often. Okay. Why it matters. Communication should never be a barrier to belonging. By offering bilingual boards and digital access through QR codes, NPS ensures students and families can connect, communicate, and participate across settings. These boards reflect a district-wide commitment to inclusion, accessibility, and empowering every child's voice. Okay. They reduce frustration, increase independence, promote positive peer interactions. By giving students a way to communicate during unstructured times, the boards support social, emotional growth, self-advocacy, and overall engagement in the school community. And then this is a picture of a student using the board. This one's at Cranberry. And again, here's the QR codes right up there. Okay. So here's the next steps. And I want to show you one thing that I have. Providing a 30-minute or so video to be shared with school SLPs. And also, one thing that I wanted to tell you, since our students, or most students, utilize the core and the fringe language that we chose for these boards, and they're already embedded on the AAC communication devices, this is just an extension really of their devices, which is really good. So they're very familiar with it. But I think it's important to have all of the SLPs trained on how to train others in using it so that we can make this inclusive. Also, providing social stories. I actually put one together. I wrote a book about making a change and using communication boards. So making a social story would be helpful too, to share it with all students. So a lot of students, like a lot of my students, are in inclusion for some part of the day. And so providing some kind of social story that connects everyone together is really, important. Sharing printable digital copies with families. So I also thought, and some playgrounds do this that have the communication boards, they have printed copies available for students to take outside or that are outside that people can utilize. So having a copy of that board so that they can get used to where everything is, and so that when they do use the boards. So there are some school districts or parks that have the digital copies available as well. And that's what that is. To place the laminated copies in the office and special education classrooms, or in all classrooms. We also are looking to install 3 additional boards in high traffic student accessible areas at a few more of the schools. So that's something that we're looking to do next school year. And then again, the goal is to create inclusive playgrounds where every student has access to communication. And then this happens to be one of our occupational therapists that brought her child to the park, and they were using the playground. She sent that to me. So in closing, every child deserves a voice, no matter where they are. Playground should be a places of joy, safety, and communication for all. And do we have any questions? I'm going to bring this back, and I'm going to stop sharing. Good.
So what schools would we add the 3 additional, do we know yet? And like, what are those high traffic areas? What kinds of spots would we put those in?
So the 3 elementary schools that do not have them are
Okay.
Silvermine, CMS, and Jefferson.
Okay.
And so the 10 that were selected this year are the schools that currently have pre-K programs in the schools. So that is the goal, is to have one at all 13 of our elementary schools. And so right now, like I said, we place them at 10 of our schools that all have pre-K programming. And then our goal for next year is to make sure that all 13 elementary schools have a communication board. And those boards will go by the playground area.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with the thought that went into them, that we were able to design our own so that they really line up with the AAC devices for the students. Yeah, I mean, the QR codes seem really smart to me. I'm picturing like grandparents taking kids on the weekends, and then being able to have that on their phone when they go home. Like, I'm really, thank you for sharing all of this. I'm so impressed by all the
Well,
attention to detail.
and I will always give credit where it's due. It really came from Angela to make that alignment between the device and the board. Many of my colleagues that are looking to do something like this, they're looking at prepackaged purchased boards, which it makes sense. But when you can create the alignment across multiple places, it just enhances that opportunity for our students.
And you know, I have to say, you know, we wanted to do this, and there's so many districts and so many towns that have one. We have, I mean, it's amazing that we have 10 boards. I mean, that is just, to me, it's just, I was so excited to do this. I can't even tell you. And it took many hours, but it was fun. And I knew the impact that it would have on, you know, on our kids and on the district and just anyone that utilizes these playgrounds. And it's just been a really fun project. And I thank you, Mr. Pennington, for asking me to do this. And I never thought it was to be this degree, but you know what? It was great. And we went back and forth with the company that was printing them. And I don't know if they like me at the end, but that's okay. We got boards. And you know what? They're on great. The one thing that I learned a lot about, you know, even the material that it's on, the materials that they're made with are just the best. I mean, it's metal inside, and then there's another material on the outside that's it's supposed to help from any kind of vandalism or things like that. You cannot even put a mark on them. It just wipes right off. So they're really durable, and the material looks, it's just amazing, and they'll last forever. I said to myself, well, I'm not going to be around, you know, forever, and these boards are going to be. So we have to make sure they are like the best, because they're not coming out of there. They're 4 feet down. So, you know, I think they look spectacular, but more importantly, the impact that they're going to make on children to be able to, you know, be able to communicate with others and to have that feeling of inclusion is just tremendous. So.
Well, and just the fact that you spent all that extra time making sure it was like, that does mean a lot. And I'm sorry for my voice. I'm recovering from pneumonia, so that's also one of my videos off. So
Okay, thank you. I get
thank you.
that. Thank you.
I have a question, and forgive me if it's because this is my first time kind of learning about these boards. Um, what's the training process for students? Like, do students get trained? Do staff members get trained? Is it specific students who have these devices? They're the only ones who get trained. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so we, again, as far as like the devices, so that board is really kind of just an extension of what the students that have these devices already have on their devices. So we're modeling all day. We're talking through those devices all day. So where those icons are located are very similar to where the icons are located on their devices. And so the training is kind of already embedded. However, I think it's you know, and we talked about this as far as extending the training, but even extending the training to SLPs that are in the schools, and having training, you know, in certain classes on how to use them, or even using those QR codes and things like that. But a lot of times, like today I brought my kids out and my staff was with me, and I said, everybody try the QR codes, do the, you know, and so the training kind of is within, but you know, and that's why we talked about the little social stories, and and then and this talks about how important having access to, and then in the social story is the actual core words. So having that, and even bringing that up on the big screen and doing a social story in a gen ed classroom that has a mixture of all students, it's really kind of, I think it's a really good idea to do. So we're moving along with all of that, and I think it's going to be
And as Ms. Rinaldi shared, one of our goals is to provide this type of work to our speech and language pathologists so that as they're working with students, it can be embedded in the work where we have these boards so that it's not just working with students with AAC devices, but all students as they go out, it can become a communication board for everyone.
And I imagine there's some curious kids who don't use an AAC device who have just sort of checked them out, noticed one side's in English, one side's in Spanish, and maybe have sort of figured out their own ways to use it to communicate with friends, especially with the dual language aspect.
Right, and we have one of the playgrounds, even at Cranberry, the preschool is connected to that playground, and so is the LEAP classroom, which has students with AAC devices, and in the preschool, there might be one or two students with AAC devices. So yes, exactly what you said. They're all out there. They're learning new language all day in their classrooms, and there it is on the board outside on the playground.
And as far as I guess, which students qualify? Is this like based on their IEP that they would qualify for a device? So like a multi-language learner wouldn't have this device with them, right?
Who qualifies for the device? We do an AAC evaluation based on their communication delays, no matter what might be bringing them to have that delay, and we go and we decide from there who has a device. It doesn't have to be any specific reasoning, except for they have a communication delay and they need that device to express themselves. So that's really how that works.
So it's not a mandate. Does it ever become a mandate, like on an IEP, like a mandated service, or is it optional?
If a student has a communication delay, we put in for an AAC evaluation. So we're recommending that. The team might recommend that, and then that's when I jump in, or another AT specialist, Jessica Horvath, jumps in, and we'll do the AAC evaluation and provide the proper tool based on their needs. So yeah, to answer your question, it's not a specific person, but as far as a communication delay, the goal is for students to be able to express themselves, and if they have difficulty doing that, we can bring in. There's so many different reasons for an AAC device, but if you bring it all back, it's because they need to express themselves and they're not able to do so. And it also helps with receptive language as well. So like
Sure.
when we model, and as we're talking. So for instance, let me say this. So like if an individual had a hearing impairment, we use sign language, right? So if you didn't use sign language, you're not really talking the way they talk. So when we model with AAC devices, we're actually talking to them when we're modeling the way they would talk back to us. And that's how they start to learn to communicate. Because they see, hey, she's using this device. It's okay for me to as well. And then also many times students have, and especially on a playground, many times students have a little anxiety because they can't express themselves. So these devices are a quick way. It doesn't replace it, but it's a quick way for them to be able to express themselves if they can't at that moment. Does anyone have any other questions?
No questions, but the boards look great.
Thank you.
I love the uniformity. I love the English and Spanish. Those PDFs were very helpful, and I'm glad that staff can access that without carrying a device. Everyone already has their phones on them. Yeah, it looks great. Thank you for explaining all the other things too in detail that we can understand.
We're excited.
It is exciting.
We should look this up because I think out of any district in this country, I don't think anyone has it like we do. I don't think that they've provided.
Mhm.
That's pretty amazing, and it's nice to be a part of that, and that means a lot.
Yeah.
It's not just one place.
Hmm.
Thank you to the district for being letting us do this.
Do we have any opportunities to present this to other districts? Like, is this something that we've ever shared at a conference or could, or
Well,
I don't
right
know.
now we're in the process, and it would have been done already, but we had a little mishap. Um, a little wait is that JD is actually going to be creating a video for families with Angela, and that video is going to, I think it's going to be a great tool in talking with colleagues. I know a couple towns have added one or two communication boards, and it got a lot of really great positive press. But the fact that we are looking to have them at every single one of our schools, it's this idea of inclusion in all of our buildings, and we're excited. So
Yeah.
I think that, like I said,
Yeah.
we are
Get
lucky
that to
that
some other districts and we start a whole thing. Norwalk
absolutely,
being trailblazers as we do.
I have
absolutely,
to say, there's a lot of boards out there, and there's some really great ones, really. But I just love ours. I think that we hit the nail on the head when we were able to design our own, and I think we got it.
That's awesome. Has Parks and Rec shown any interest in like adding them to any of the playgrounds that are not at a school? Like I'm thinking like Cranberry Park or down at Calf Pasture. I don't, this is like what just came to my head.
No, that would be, or even have we done, and I'm guessing Stepping Stones already has their version, but like, you
Oh,
know,
there is a playground down the hill from Stepping Stones. But yeah, I don't know. Is that do
I
you think
think
Parks
I think that is a great conversation that
yeah,
we
an
can
idea.
have. Just so that, maybe at, like you said, at Cranberry Park, there is that opportunity to build that level of consistency in the city.
yeah.
I'm even thinking at Vets Park.
Yeah, Vets Park. Yeah, I thought of Calf Pasture, Cranberry Park, Vets Park.
Yeah,
Um, just thinking, I mean, I think a lot of folks utilize the school playgrounds on the weekends,
they
but I'm
do.
thinking of some of the other Parks and Rec playgrounds that,
But how great would it be if because our students are going to all of those other parks as well, and
yeah,
to be able to build that level of consistency across the city.
yeah,
And I have to say, the safety piece of it is huge because seeing that and bringing my students out to the playground with their devices, because again, I have them bring them everywhere.
and a lot of
Um,
them wear them, right? A lot of them are around their necks. Yeah,
I firsthand got to see, what, that's not okay. So I started bringing just one out and leaving it on the side, but it always was on the side, So that wasn't a good answer. So having these available and making it even more safe. But you're absolutely right. Even jumping down from one thing to another with that, not a. So this is just a huge safety, measure. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for this presentation.
you're welcome.
This
I'm
was
glad
great.
the QR codes.
Oh no, the QR codes worked really well, and I mean, I think that that's just an awesome addition to them.
We can never ever make a change to those because those are right on the board.
And
True.
that I think the
Well,
last, oh, go ahead, Marcus.
I'm sorry, Robert. Will we get like an email? Because I'm kind of curious to play with it myself. But I wasn't able to because I'm on my phone. Like, will we get an email where I could mess around with this tonight at home?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can send it to
We can
you.
send it to you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it.
I
And I'll,
think, oh, go ahead, Ange.
I'm sorry. I'll also, I think there's the picture of the boards too, so you can print those out, or I could send it like a larger piece. But well, you'll get them on your phone.
And then I just wanted to take a minute. Last week, Deirdre McKinnon and Veronica Lenzen held their parent advisory group for special ed. And one of the pieces that I am like just blown away is that there was right around 50 participants. And so it's really taking off. I think, Marcus, I think you were there. And it's really becoming this full, like, district-wide group, and I mean, it started off small, and I just want to give them a huge kudos because they've been building this over the last year, and to see it really taking hold, and parents are coming and they're asking questions, and it's really this great collaboration between the district team and our community.
Yeah, I will say, if I can add on to that quickly, particularly after this last meeting, Bill Connors, who's one of the parent leaders, sent out an email kind of updating everybody on what we talked about. And the number of emails from parents sharing information, Mr. Jamie, I'm sure you see them also, about parents trying to figure out things to do with their students this summer. It's heartwarming for us, like Deirdre and I, knowing that we've been able to connect parents who might not have otherwise been connected to share all of these other opportunities for things that their students can do during the summer. So, Mr. Jamie, I'm happy that you were able to be part of that, and I look forward to doing this even further.
What an awesome community to be building for those parents. And I remember probably about a year ago, we had a presentation about getting that advisory group back off the ground. And so I'm so glad to hear that, 50 participants. And it's meeting monthly?
Bi-monthly. Yeah, every other month. And we do a hybrid Zoom and in person. So we had a good number of people in person, but we also had about 27 online, which was amazing. So,
and are you split, like, is there a split of like the more elementary and versus secondary parents?
Everybody all together.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really
No,
great.
and I have
Thank
to
you
say,
for
if I
that.
could piggyback off of that, it really, really does feel like a support group. As a parent with a child with special needs, you oftentimes feel lonely, you feel like isolated, you feel like you don't know where to turn. In this actual room, every time I leave that room, I feel like just supported. I feel supported as a parent. I feel like there are other people who feel the same way and are looking for the same support. So it's actually it's grabbing some wind, and it's pretty cool because it does feel like support. Absolutely.
great. That's the goal. So good to hear.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Okay. If we have, are we all good, Rob? We got everything? If we have nothing else, then we just need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Jasmine.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Marcus. Thank you all so much for your time this evening and for this presentation. And we will see everybody soon.
Thank you. Thank you all for the
Thank you.
that you do.
Thank you, Ange.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.